What's up guys, Coop's Carnivores here. It has been a while since my last video. I think it was in March of last year, but we are back. Things are looking pretty darn good, so I figured I'd give everyone another tour of the grow tent. So, without further ado, let's see what we got. Alright, so this is my 5x5 grow tent. It's a villosa grow tent. Had it for a little over a year now, and it has worked really well. Quick overview of the grow setup. I obviously have a bunch of LED lights, various brands, just kind of whatever I could get my hands on, and then a few nicer ones, Spider Farmers, a bit nicer lights. Kind of got those focused on some of my, I don't know, maybe more favorite plants, if you will. But also just plants that need a little bit more light because they tend to be a bit stronger, but do not have, at least these ones do not have sort of adjustability. But no problem, we can always raise or lower them if we need to, but for the most part I think things are looking pretty good. So yeah, I've got my plants all in trays here, and you'll notice that some of them have water in them, like for instance this one down here, got a bit of water in there. But that's not really something I typically have. It's just that I was away for about 10 days visiting family over Christmas and New Year's. So as soon as those dry out, I'll not be filling the trays. I'll just be watering sort of normally. But yeah, in terms of mixes, I've moved a lot of things over to this Akadama, Kanuma, perlite, and cocoa fiber, the cocoa chip mix, I guess it really is. And a lot of things seem happier in it. I still have a few plants in various mixes. Some of them I haven't repotted just yet. Like this guy, he's in a sphagnum moss perlite mix. A few of those larger plants back there, sphagnum moss perlite. Same with this veitchii here. But I do really like this new mix, and I find that more things are happy in it than not, so. But yeah, let's get going on some plants. So over here we have a veitchii. You can probably tell this one is the BE3646, and this makes in almost entirely green pitchers, no stripes, but they are massive. This plant actually used to have a huge vine on it and had flowered female. So that vine had gone all the way around the back to about over there. Had a flower spike. Flowers, first flower that it had went pretty well. Didn't have anything crazy crossed with it, but the next flower that came out kind of took a hit from some fungal issues, which if you look at like this guy over here, you can see like there's clearly been some sort of fungal problems, but all that's been sort of fixed and newer leaves are looking nice and healthy. You'll also notice that a lot of my plants are very red. The leaves are red, and that's because I keep the light a bit higher for a lot of them, because I find that the pitchers end up with a bit more color, and the pitchers themselves also grow to be a little bit bigger. At least that's kind of the theory. Right here we have a Raja veitchii with not really any stunning pitchers because it has flowered twice for me. One right there and one over there. And I do have some very exciting crosses on there, but it does look like we might get a new pitcher back here. Over there we have LVB VMV crossed with Platykyla from Flore, and yeah, it's nice. I wish that the stripes were a little bit more apparent. I think I have it in too high of light for the stripes to really remain because the peristome darkens so much, but nice plant. Then back behind we have a Sibionensis crossed with Burbidgiae. Oh, no, that's a Sibionensis crossed with truncata. And then right next to it we have the Burbidgiae crossed with Sibionensis. But this picture here is from that Sibionensis truncata, and it's not as colorful now, but when that first opened, it was a nice bright red color with all those stripes. Really nice plant. And as you saw earlier, it's got another pitcher coming along right there. So, and also I'll show back here, you can see in there, the Veitchii sibionensis has some real chonkers coming through, so super excited for that. Got one there, and then also another one there. So that one struggled until I gave it the repot into that new mix, and now it seems much happier, and it's popping out some pretty big pitchers, so excited for that. Here we have a truncata crossed with macrophylla. This one's from Flore, looks to be their clone 1. The pictures are nice. I think really it needs to get a bit larger before anything looks too crazy, but there's definitely a decent amount of teeth on there. It seems like macrophylla tends to not give as much teeth to its offspring and hybrids as, say, edwardsiana, but that one certainly has reasonable teeth. Then right down here we have a veitchii BE3734, and there's a lot of different clones within that number. But this one, got it on eBay from Picturesque Plants, and look at the striping on there. See if I can get it to focus, but the striping is really nice. So it's an aged pitcher, doesn't have the best contrast, but there is a new pitcher coming along, which is looking really good. Then over here we have a veitchii crossed with macrophylla, and this pitcher just about to open. You can see it's got some stripes in there, but this pitcher back there, quite stripy. So super happy with that, because I don't think there's too many of the veitchii crossed with macrophylla that are stripy. A lot of them seem to have sort of a plain peristome. That one's from Nepenthes God or Jeff Schaefer. Right next to it we have the villosa veitchii. There's a few different clones that are striped. This one's the 4045, got this from Flore, and older pitcher, a bit smaller, but has really pretty decent striping. Latest one, not as striped, but it also just opened, so there's a good chance that it'll just take a bit of time for the stripes to become a bit more vibrant. Right next to it we have edwardsiana crossed with leviathan. This one's also from Jeff Schaefer, and really small plant, not too much to show, but the moss on here is doing really well. Happy with that. Behind it we have a veitchii paumor crossed with edwardsiana from Flore. This is their clone 9, and this picture is a little bit aged, but in its prime it was super nice. I'll throw up a picture of that guy on the screen when he was a bit fresher. And he does have another picture back here that's a bit larger, maybe not quite as striped. He's a bit more in the shadows, but still looking really nice. Next to that we have edwardsiana crossed with veitchii candy dreams. You can just pull this guy out. He's pretty small still, but you can see what a nice leaf jump he has, and also like just how fast that moss is growing around him. It's kind of taking him over, but you can see on that peristome there, maybe it'll be easier down here, a bit more light, but you can see those stripes on there already, so super excited for that guy. That one's also from Jeff Schaefer. Put that guy back where he belongs. Over here we have another veitchii BE3734. This one does have really nice stripes. Maybe not as nice as the one I showed earlier, but still pretty nice. No active pictures, somewhat of a recent acquisition, but he is working on a new picture right there, which I think will be super nice. So excited to see what happens there. In the back there we have a truncata Highland Red, which I had actually been growing in my room under sort of ambient humidity, which is very low, but the pictures were just kind of small, and honestly I wanted to see some bigger stuff out of it. So nothing crazy yet, but I might be able to kind of pull out this. If you can see, there is a massive picture back there. Oh, Let me make sure he gets back in the tray, otherwise we'll pull that whole plant down. But next to that we have, let's see, veitchii lowii crossed with Rob Cantley, I believe. Not sure where the tag for that guy went, somewhere in the moss probably, but no new pictures really. He was hit pretty hard with the fungal issues, but he does have some nice new leaves. And there is a picture in the back there. Nice fat one that's developing. Let's see. Back over here we have veitchii edwardsiana. And this one is special. It doesn't have stripes, which is too bad, but it's still, I don't know, I think super nice. See if I can get a bit better focus on there. Has decent toothiness, and the peristome's pretty flared. If I go back around here, you can see this one has even a little bit more flare maybe. But still a nice color on that one. But this one is special because it is actually a female. So I've been doing some crosses with that, including some toothy stuff. So stay tuned for that. Right here in front, we've got a Rob Cantley veitchii. I believe this one's originally from Predatory Plants. I didn't buy it from them directly, got it from a local grower, but this plant, you can see, this is a decent sized pitcher, you know, very much Rob Cantley. You can see that in there. But back here, we have a real chonker of a pitcher. It's kind of hard to see because he's way back in there, but this thing is massive, super thick, and I can show a picture of it whenever it first opened, and the peristome was about 5 inches across, which was pretty incredible. This one is also female, and I've got a nice thick flower spike coming through. You can see just at the base there how thick that is. Pretty incredible. Over here we've got a sort of pretty standard ventrata, but it's nice. This is technically my girlfriend's plant, but I take care of it for her. Tons of pictures. You can see here just probably 20 or 30 pictures on this one plant. Tons of growth points. And I also have 2 more ventratas, which are actually growing from there and have these vines that are extending all the way up through here. So this vine is actually from one on the ground. Very, very long vine, but it's kind of cool to have a bit of a wall of pictures, even if they are just ventrata. Still a nice Nepenthes hybrid. So yeah, let's move down a level. So right here I have 3 of my veitchiis. I'll show this one last because otherwise the others will kind of pale in comparison. But this is a veitchii Akazuken cross Barrio striped, kind of an old picture there, but definitely has some stripes. This one has a very weird pattern where the stripes kind of skip the sides and just on the top and the bottom, but kind of neat. Not typical for that plant. It does have a new picture coming in right down there. And I think I'll pull this guy out. Let's see here. This is a Marud striped, or maybe Marud cross, yeah, Marud striped cross candy from Christian Klein. Really nice pictures on this guy. They're not very squat at all, which is maybe too bad, but I do really like them. Super good striping. That's an older picture. This is a newer picture. The newer picture didn't have as dense of stripes for whatever reason, but still pretty nice. And we've got a new picture coming along just down there. So let me put this guy back in. All right, that veitchii is back in his spot. But here we have a veitchii B. It's a Marud cross Lowland cross Candy Dreams. And I think this is maybe one of the best veitchii Bs out there. Take a look at that. Really phenomenal stripes on that guy. Awkward position to hold it. Maybe I can switch it around like that. and give a bit better of a view. But look at that thing. Yeah. It's kind of hard to beat that. It could be a bit squatter, I suppose, but the peristome is top notch. Really love the sort of little ruffles that it gets at the edges of the peristome. I think it looks really cool. And the striping and the sort of pinkish reddish picture body, super nice. So this picture did have a bit of damage to it when it was small, so you can see it's missing part of the wing there. I'm not sure how that happened, but there is a chance that it'll make more squat pictures for me, because if you look at this one, it is a bit squatter than this one was, so we'll have to see what happens. But super nice veitchii. All right, that veitchii is back in his place. Let's keep going. I maybe won't cover everything. A lot of the plants down here are a little bit smaller, but I'll pick out a few ones that are kind of interesting to show you. Let's see what's cool. There's an LVB VMV crossed with edwardsiana. This is the Flores Clone 12, and this one just opened. This one has the potential to be super nice. Might be a little bit longer. I'm not convinced that this picture is gonna be phenomenal. I might need to move it to a slightly lower light spot, just because if there's too much light, then the stripes don't show up as much. You kind of have to find the balance. But yeah, over here we have a peltata truncata across the veitchii Candy Dreams with super nice striping at a somewhat small size. You can see that there. The striping is really nice, lots of stripes. And I do have a larger version of that plant. I sort of nicknamed this cross, even though I didn't make it, Nepenthes Candy Titan, because I believe it should be absolutely massive. Here's that larger plant. Tons of stripes, really quite a fat peristome, or fat pitcher body, and should get a larger peristome with some of the larger plants come through, or larger pitchers come through. So it's growing pretty nice. It's got a new pitcher coming in back there. Always excited to see how that one develops. Right next to that, we do have my largest edwardsiana, which maybe got a little bit too much water while I was away. I think that's why the leaves aren't looking their best, but I'm sure that they'll bounce back without too much trouble. Right here we have a veitchii Jeff Wong cross Candy Dreams, which at a small size has a lot of the traits that you're looking for in a veitchii. It's got a really pretty striped peristome, maybe not the most striped, but for a small size, it's really solid. And somewhat pinkish reddish pitcher body, so really excited to see how that guy develops. Over here we've got various veitchiis, truncata that I grew from seed. This guy's really exciting. He's a truncata giant cross a veitchii M. No good picture on it currently, but I might throw up a picture of the mother plant that this came from, because I got this as a basil from PDF Carnivores. And the mother plant, I think, is about the nicest of that cross, so super pumped for that guy. Over here, I've got a Loei edwardsiana. This is the Westuba Clone 1. You can see it's got some decent stripes in there, and it's retained those stripes for a good amount of time, which is really nice. A few other exciting things, like this Loei truncata squat cross edwardsiana from Westuba. I also have a truncata fipiata cross macrophylla from Flore, bred by Jeremiah Harris. It's their clone 8. Nothing too crazy to look at yet, but should be really nice. This guy back here is quite nice, even at a small size. This is Carnivores Song of Melancholy crossed with truncata number 1 cross veitchii Candy Dreams. And as you can see, it already has, if it'll focus, doesn't want to focus, but nice striping and quite a bright pink picture body, so really excited to see what that guy does. This guy's pretty cool. This is a veitchii from Carnivores. This is their Marood Cross Candy Best Clone Cross Cobra, and look at how red that is. In person, I don't know if the camera really picks it up that well, but in person, that picture is incredibly red. So hoping that it's got decent striping. If so, it could be an absolute winner. I think that's maybe enough of that shelf. Most of the other plants are pretty small. Down here, we've got a few interesting things. We've got a veitchii here that was struggling for me for the longest time, but as you can see, has put out a nice picture. It's not opened yet, but super excited for that. Veitchii is maybe one of the prettiest species, especially if you can get one that has a really milk white contrast with the dark red stripes. A few other things here. Got this BE peltata, which is decently nice. Not a super squat one. Still looking for a very squat one because I think that those are honestly the nicest, but it's a peltata. Here's a cool one that I think is nicer than people give it credit for. I'll pick this up. But this is a Spathulata cross Ampullaria from BE. They have a few different versions of this cross. This particular one is the red one. I believe they have a green one, a speckled one, and then this red one. And this one kind of has some speckles on it, but not as much as the speckled clone. But I really like this. I mean, if you've seen Borneo Exotics videos on this, it's like a massive Ampullaria. Absolutely huge, so pretty excited for that. It had some issues. I think it got a bit too much light, but still making pictures, seems reasonably happy. So back there, I've got Loei ventricosa. That's the Peter D'Amato clone. No new pictures, but when they are new, they've got really bright stripes, really bright colors, and then they sort of darken down to the sort of maroon color, but pretty cool. Over here, if you can see, that one's a nice striped picture. It's veitchii K cross MSLRV, which is from Todd's Tropicals. Those are actually 3 of the basils, if you see back there, 3 of the 4 basils that I cut off of the mother plant, and it's pretty nice. I'll show you the mother plant in a moment, but yeah, that's about it for this grow tent. Let's move on to the next one. All right, so here's the most recent grow tent that I got. I used to have a sort of plastic covered PVC frame, which, you know, worked for the time, but honestly was not the best. So got this one for Christmas, super excited for it. And yeah, I'll show you what I got in here. So starting over here, we have a pretty nice Thorellii crossed with Aristolochioides. It's got a couple growth points. This actually was like a 6-7 foot vine at one point. I cut down, made some cuttings. Now I've just got these 2 growth points here. But makes really nice pictures that are sort of similar to Aristo. You can definitely see the Aristo parentage in there, but much easier to grow for sure. This thing grows like a weed if you let it. Back there we have, I believe, a veitchii, or no, this is the Glandulifera crossed with Trismatiensis from Flore. This one had some troubles, but it's definitely on the rebound. You can see the newer leaves are looking pretty nice. So excited for that one to start producing pictures again. Right here we have a Glandulifera crossed with Ventricosa cross Stenophylla, also from Flore. And this one's making a quite nice picture. The glandulifera parentage really comes through in this cross. Seems to be that way with most glandulifera hybrids. But really nice color on the picture. I'm excited to see that when it opens up, because when they do open up, at least on this plant, it has really apparent stripes. Over here we have a plant that I got labeled as Big Red. Here's a slightly older picture from it, but I am 99% sure that this is a ventricosa crossed with maxima. When I got it, it was a rooted cutting, so I only saw upper pictures, which was a little confusing. But if you've seen ventricosa maxima, which I think is sometimes known as red leopard, this looks exactly the same. So, and it's got this nice big picture coming in too. This is sort of an interesting one. It's a Triffid, which is a Splendid Diana cross Dubia. And let's see, Splendid Diana is a Campotiana cross Maxima. But essentially this is just an easy growing Dubia. Very, very much Dubia influenced. You can see some of these true upper pictures up here. This is another plant that had a massive vine that I just kind of got tired of. So chopped it down, but still have a nice plant there. Let's see, I got a Sibionensis crossed with peltata here, which is working on a nice picture. This is about the reddest plant. I do have another one of these. These are both from BE. They're 4532. But these are about the most red Nepenthes. I mean, look at the leaves, undersides of the leaves, super red. Tops of the leaves, also super red. Move this guy in here to a little bit lower light because his leaves were kind of smaller. He had a bit of damage in the shipping, but you can see that leaf didn't fully break off. So just gonna let it be, and he seems to be doing great. Let's see. Down here, got a few interesting things. I think this is a glandulifera veitchii. Yep, this is from BE. And as you can see, nothing too crazy. A few small stripes. There's a Thorellii truncata. These are sort of upper pictures from it, since it's a rooted cutting from the main plant. This is a Song of Melancholy veitchii. Labeled it as a veitchii, but that's definitely not what it is. And I believe this is another Song of Melancholy veitchii. These are both from Carnivores. You can see how much of a difference there is, despite it being the same cross. Compare that picture to this one. This one has much more defined stripes and a nice new picture developing in there. So, pretty cool. Let's see, over here we have a very large Truncata C cross C giant from EP. This one I acquired a few months back, but it was obviously a large plant when I got it, and it almost died because I guess the humidity in my place was not quite as high as what it was used to. So it struggled quite a bit, sulked, and got really flimsy, which was scary. But after bagging it, kind of got it acclimated to the humidity, and now it's doing quite well. A lot of these basil plants are putting out pictures, so excited to see how big those will get. This one's a cool one. This is Truncata crossed with Leviathan. It's a seed growing from Jeremiah Harris. A little bit of striping in there, nothing too crazy, but I'm really excited to see how big this will get. It seems to have been making about the same size leaves for a while, but I think that might be because of the basils that it has. But it's got really nice, well, it's got huge potential to make massive pictures. Next to that, we have a Truncata crossed with villosa. This is also seed growing from Jeremiah Harris. I'm waiting to see if these pictures will actually gain a little bit more color. So this plant has kind of had some issues recently. You can see there's a bunch of this sort of fungus in the leaves, and then even in the bottom of the leaf, a bit of fungal issues. Sprayed it tons of times with the antifungal mix I use that seems to work for everything, but I don't know. I mean, it's making leaf jumps, seems relatively happy, so might just leave it for now. Back here's a plant that really suffered in its last pot, and then after I repot it into the Akanama Kanuma perlite and cocoa chip mix, really liked it, and it's finally given me some pictures now. This is veitchii crossed with veitchii lowii, which has some phenomenal striping. Super deep red striping, very vibrant. And it has this picture, which just opened over here, which is going to be really nice when it sort of fully opens. See how flared that peristome gets. Behind that, we have a very nice platykyla cross-boschiana. This is one of the stripiest Nepenthes I've ever seen. It just has tons of stripes. Pretty interesting shape on these upper pictures as well. There's another one down here that's a little bit past its prime. You can see started to lose the color, picture's starting to die off a little bit. But yeah, a lot of these plants I moved in here relatively recently since it's a new tent, so still waiting for them to sort of acclimate and throw out some new pictures. Back there we've got another lowii ventricosa. This one is just sort of a, I don't know, I guess you could call it a generic one, but it has lots of nice pictures. You can see this upper picture, a little bit lighter coloration, maybe a bit more green in the picture body. And then that contrasts pretty nicely with these lower pictures that are much more deep dark red. So really like that plant. In terms of beginner plants, couldn't recommend that one enough. It's way cooler in my opinion than a ventrata and just about as easy to grow. Let's see what else is interesting. I do have a veitchii here, which got a super long vine. This picture kind of had some issues when he was developing. The peristome isn't complete, but you do get that nice veitchii shape, which I think is really cool. Sort of like a wine glass. Here we have a massive maxima from BE. This is the picture on it. I think this thing's about 11 inches long. Real monster picture. It's interesting, the peristome has gotten sort of a super dark purple color. Not sure how well that comes across in the video, but I think that's a pretty phenomenal picture. When they first open, they're a nice bright red, which is really cool. And that guy has another picture coming through back over here, so I'll get to see a fresh one again soon. And I believe that this particular clone is a single clone and that they're female. So this is something I'm definitely looking to cross with one of my male veitchii at some point. Right in front here we have Sibionensis crossed with Merliana, which, if you weren't aware, has the record for the largest by volume Nepenthes pitcher grown in cultivation. And I don't have any great pictures on it, certainly nothing record breaking. A lot of them are kind of dying off, at least my bigger ones. But it does have a nice basil here, which I'm hoping will eventually put out some absolute chonkers. You can see it's got this cute little guy right there that's working on his way, and then this one from the main growth, which should be a nice size eventually. But keeping the main growth attached, because if I were to cut off the main growth, maybe the basil would get a little bit bigger. I did recently repot this guy. He had a incredible root system. He was previously in pure akadama, which is highly recommended for this plant, but I figured I'd give it a go with this because it's pretty similar. But yeah, new spot. You can see how much more red this leaf is. And something interesting I noticed with Sibionensis and its hybrids is a lot of times they'll get this sort of red-pink halo around the edge of the leaf. I do have a pure Sibionensis here, and it has that same halo, which I really like. There's not too many Nepenthes that have that, and I think it's, I don't know, it adds some flair to it even if it doesn't have any pictures like this guy. He's kind of slacking on me, but I do have a Merlion Aristo, which doesn't have any pictures currently. This is the basil growth. It had a bit of a vine and actually flowered for me. I believe I tried to cross that with the Raja veitchii, but didn't work out so well. Pods didn't seem to expand, but I'm sure there'll be another opportunity in the future. This one's a nice, I believe this is what it is, Maxima miniature cross Miranda cross with Clippiata. Let's see if we can get a nice focus. This one has really good striping. It's relatively small pictures on this, I think due to the Maxima miniature parentage, but really nice striping. I really like this plant, and as you can see, it has tons of glands on it that are producing all the sugary sort of sap. It gets super sticky. Recently trimmed this guy up. He does have a basil coming in down there. And you can see some of these other pictures that it's making now are actually a decent bit bigger than the previous ones, so pretty excited for those. Take a look down here. I've got a Spathulata crossed with Tobaica down there, which is turning into an absolute bush, which is cool. As you can see, it's flowered about 1 million times for me, but honestly, I haven't had anything that I really was excited to cross it with, because it's kind of, I don't know, I think it's cool in its own right, but it doesn't really have too many traits that I think would pass on and be really nice with offspring. So just gonna let it be. Is that Thorellii truncata, which is a basil off of the main growth that does include the original root system, and makes some pretty decent pictures. Kind of too far. Maybe I can grab this one back here. You can see these lights right here are very pink, but nice good size. I think it could make even bigger pictures than that, but what else is cool? This guy's kind of interesting. This is a Boschiana cross Rocco from Carnivores. This is one of the first plants I ever got. And you can see on here there's tons of seeds from one of the crosses that I did that I don't know, I just wasn't that excited for. Didn't really plant that many of them. I had way too many seeds, but there's tons on there. A lot of them are kind of stuck to it, and now they're stuck to my finger because of that exudate from the other plant. But well, it does make some decent pictures. I think a lot of the pictures recently had been kind of screwed up because this thing flowered 4 times for me. You can see right here, flower point, flower, and then another flower. And these flowers were massive. So at one point, this was the largest plant. It had a span of probably 30 inches across, leaf tip to leaf tip. But yeah, excited for this basil, because I think that this will eventually get some really nice big pictures. But anyway, you can see a upper picture forming on this guy, which I think might be its first true upper. I believe that this one is most of the way to an upper, but due to some lacking of watering, peristome got a little bit jacked up. But anyways, let's see. We've got a Rub Cantley crossed with Paloensis here, which maybe isn't anything to write home about now, but I think that this has with those parents has serious potential to be massive. This guy's that mother plant of the veitchii K cross MSLRV, and it's working on a new picture back here. The aged pictures are okay, but when they first open, the striping is really phenomenal. I've got a really nice truncata Highland Red here. Let's see. Opened up recently. But you can see nice stripes on that peristome. Super long body on it, not very squat, but really excited for some big pictures, because as the pictures get larger, the peristome tends to follow suit. Another truncata here. This one's from Plants That Eat. And this one has some pretty tubby pictures. A little bit of striping on there. Excited to see that. And over here we've got a Talangensis crossed with Glandulifera, I believe, which makes some super kind of cool pictures. When they first open, they're a nice, really bright red color. See if I have a picture of that, but You can see sort of like the quintessential glandulifera glands all over this, and just cover your hand in sticky fluid, so that's always fun. But yeah, that's about it for this grow tent. But I will show you over here, sort of connected to it, is my Highland chest freezer. And I'll pull just a couple plants out of there that are kind of cool, and we'll take a look. All right, so first up here we have a Harryana, or Edwardsiana crossed with villosa. And I really like this plant. I think you can probably see why. Super toothy, really interesting thing. You can see that the older, smaller pitcher has a very yellow peristome, and the one on the right, which is the newest one, has a bit more of an orange-red colored peristome and much more defined teeth. And I think that's probably mostly due to the increased light conditions. You can see on the leaves there, some of those older leaves, like the one that pitcher's on, is almost like burned from increased light. But plant seems happy. Newer leaves are at least somewhat green with a bit of a red blush, which I think is about perfect for most Nepenthes, so very happy with that. I do have an Edwardsiana here. He's really small, but he did open up a new pitcher there, so excited to see what that guy does. I do have a villosa down here, which recently opened up a new pitcher. Pretty happy with this guy. Hoping that he starts putting out some larger leaves soon. Would love to get some serious growth on him. Yeah, I got a few other things. I have a macrophylla. Most of the other things in here are pretty small. I'll show you this guy. It's a helium flora. I have no idea what the cross is. I'm not really a helium flora guy, but I do like that one. Flowered for me. Stopped growing so much when it flowered, but it looks to be having some new growth there. You can see some of the new pitchers are sort of opening up, but cool plant to have. I got one other helium flora, but I think that thing's been buried by moss, so I might be down to just this one. But yeah, I do have a Raja down there, Aristo, a few villosas, Hamada that's recovering from a repot, Mollis, a couple Loeis, and this guy, I'll show it to you. I really need to get this guy trimmed down. The star moss is going berserk in there, but it is a Trismatiensis crossed with Edwardsiana. And if you look there past the 50 million star moss seed pods, the pictures on this are super dark. So really excited to see what that one turns out. I believe that's originally from carnivorous seeds. But yeah, that's about it. I do have one more grow tent, but I think I'll wait to show that till the next video. One of the lights went out. I need to replace that. So, but yeah, thank you guys for watching. I'm curious to know if there's any specific Nepenthes related videos you'd be interested in. If you want sort of a repotting guide, a sort of guide to the different types of mixtures. I've done quite a bit of experimentation. Originally started with just sphagnum moss and perlite, because that's sort of the standard mix, but I have experimented with things like pure cocoa chip, sphagnum moss, cocoa chip, this mix, which is sort of my favorite now, which is the Akadama Kanuma perlite and cocoa chip. See how many times I said that this video. But yeah, if you're interested in something like that, I can certainly make it. And then also maybe just a general growing guide if anyone's interested. So my plants are doing pretty well. I think I found a good method that works for my situation. So if anybody's interested in learning a little bit more about that, I'd be happy to share. But anyways, thank you all for watching, and I look forward to bringing you the next video, hopefully before next year. Adios.